Okay, hello everyone. Right away I want to thank you for coming back to my channel for another video. Today is Monet Day, or at least one of the first Monet days. So I'll say what I said in the Van Gogh video I made. I know who Monet is, odds are you know who Monet is. Okay, so if everybody here knows who Monet is and is familiar with his work, why am I talking about him today? I'm talking about him because I think we can learn important things about life and living from Monet's artistic approach as well as his style. My goal for this channel and the videos I make more generally is to help you actualize your full potential and achieve your goals. And I like to think that art can help us do both of those things, even if only in small and indirect ways. So whether you want to be a painter or an artist or an engineer or an astronaut, my goal is to make this video useful for you. My mindset is that there's a reason billions and billions of people have enjoyed Monet's paintings since their creation. And I think that's because his work is soul enriching. It adds value to people's lives. And I think the value of that value is that it spills over. If we approach it properly, it can permeate across every facet of our lives. And while that might seem a little lofty or silly, I want to say that I really believe in the almost universal utility and applicability of great works of art. Maybe you don't think paintings can communicate profoundly significant life lessons, and honestly, maybe that's true. But I think that spending time with great works of art can make us better thinkers, and that's another one of my goals for today's video and the series on Monet that's going to follow. I want to do whatever I can to teach you something interesting, something that might help you see the world in a new way, but enough of me droning on. Let's get down to it. Monet. We're talking about Monet and the scope of this series. First and foremost, we have to address one question. How can studying the style of different artists teach us? To do this, I'm going to use as objective an analogy as I can possibly manage. Languages, or more specifically, how learning multiple languages results in not only a deeper understanding of the languages learned, but also the process of actually learning a new language or learning a new skill, as well as some other symbolic comparisons that can be made. To qualify what I'm going to say about languages, I want to mention that at the time of this video's recording, I'm currently a graduate student at Johns Hopkins University, where I teach one reading and writing intensive undergraduate course per semester. I say this to communicate a point. Language is my thing. I'm not an expert. I can't speak 15 different languages, but I think I have a solid understanding of how they work. And languages, at least in my opinion, are comparable, at least to some extent, of different artists' stylistic approaches to painting. Okay, so if we Google why learning multiple languages is helpful, what we get is a bunch of noise. Everything from employers love it, to it increases your brain muscles, to it boosts creativity. These are actual things that people put time into to write. These are real answers. Brain muscles. So these are all very vague and very clickbaity, but here's what I tell my students at Johns Hopkins. Learning multiple languages is a skill, and skills take time to learn. And skills take time to learn because, I don't know, that's what makes them skills. We don't know what we don't know until we know it. But something happens when we work our way toward mastery, and this is as true for learning new languages as it is for learning any skill, be it sales or weightlifting or computer programming, whatever. When we dedicate our time to something meaningful, in this case learning a new skill, it repays us by coloring the landscape of our perception of the world around us. Speaking from personal experience, until I started really studying languages, I never thought of an individual language as something that's akin to like a living organism that is constantly under evolutionary pressures. And maybe I'll say more about that in a future video because it is something I'm really interested in. But for now, we have to keep going. But languages are something akin to living organisms. They are always changing, they are always evolving, they're under evolutionary pressures, all that. And to connect this back to how we can learn from studying the artistic approaches of different artists, I will say this. When we explore the stylistic techniques of different artists, Claude Monet in this case, Vincent van Gogh in another, we broaden our understanding of what I'll say is the language of creativity. And when we do that, when we study the methodologies of great artists, be they painters or engineers or entrepreneurs, whatever, we put ourselves in a better position to exercise and draw on our creativity, regardless of the field, regardless of the discipline. It becomes easier to not only think abstractly, but also to draw on other creative procedures, which increase the probability, at least I think, of our success. Albert Einstein, for example, would play his violin when he found himself stuck in a physics problem. And this is what I mean. Art helps us. Art really helps us. It helps us directly, it helps us indirectly, and it's all about kind of finding a space in your own life to consume art that interests you and to consume art that might help teach you something. By studying different artistic approaches, we familiarize ourselves with something like the universal creative spirit or whatever, which we can draw on at our own will to gain a deeper and more intimate understanding of the task before us. Okay, so that was a lot, I know. Next though, let's talk about Monet's style, because that seems pretty important. So I'll state the obvious. I think Monet's style is iconic. I think most people familiar with his work will agree with me. So what's Monet's style? It is French Impressionism. Remembering that term is not really all that important. Anyways, we're talking about Monet, the big dog of French Impressionism. But wait, I think I can hear you already. Sam, I know what French Impressionism looks like, or perhaps you're saying I have no idea what French Impressionism looks like, but give me the gist of it, please. Great, yeah, great. Relative to what came before it, French Impressionism put a greater emphasis on the color and the light that creates an image. Human figures and epic tales took a back seat in paintings. What was more important, the French Impressionists believed, was how the sun and the moon bathed different objects in different types of lighting. And this, of course, caused all kinds of controversy in the mid-19th century. It just about turned the art world on its head. Okay, so that's a little bit about French Impressionism. But as far as Monet's style is concerned, here's what I've got. What we recognize today as Monet's iconic style began during the years considered his middle years. We've got rapid brush strokes and broken color, with perhaps the best example of what was at the time a relatively new style being sunrise impression. But let's push this thing further. Brush strokes, what do we have? Again, fast brush strokes to depict light like nobody had ever seen it in realist paintings, with objects gaining or losing color vibrancy and color consistency depending on their distances from a light source. In the case of sunrise impression, the big orange circle in the sky is our light source, and its color spreads everywhere throughout the painting. As far as Monet's color palette is concerned, his use of color was of a wide variety because the painter was obsessed by how differently objects appeared depending on the time of the day. He liked using lighter colors as a base instead of the traditional dark primers. Perspective-wise, Monet liked painting the same objects from different angles or from the same angles at different times of day. We see this with his haystacks. Everybody knows about the haystacks. Or maybe you don't know about the haystacks. Monet painted haystacks. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Are you still with me? I hope so, but anyways, enough of this technical, not that important stuff. Let's return to the extra fun stuff. What can Monet's style teach us? I'll be talking about what exactly I think Monet's style can teach us in an upcoming video. So for right now, I will be brief. I will give you bullet points. I will tell you what is to come. First things first, what can Monet's style teach us? The value of the link between repetition and improvement. Getting better at things is hard. How do we get better at things? A lot of practice. I tell my students this. I want to write great novels someday. I'm at the writing seminars at Johns Hopkins. I'm a graduate student, and it's probably took me 10,000 hours of writing on my own, creative writing, to get where I am. Improvement requires repetition, and that is very boring. The next thing, can we really trust what we see? It's nice to think that we can trust our eyes, but I don't know. A lot of great artists seem to think that we can't trust what we see. And I'm going to talk about that in an upcoming video. Also, I am going to be discussing the incredible amount of labor that goes into an artist's development of a style that is uniquely their own. I tell my students this all the time. For whatever reason, people think that, right off the bat, they can write a short story and they're able to manipulate the language so that it's their style. It's like, I've been writing for, I don't know, closing the gap on a decade now. I know that I'm not old by any stretch of the imagination, but it's what I've got. It's the time I've put in, and I am only now getting to the point where I feel like I can consciously manipulate the language that I am using to tell a story. It is very hard to develop your own style because you have to be able to situate a project within the wider context of all the work, maybe not all, but a lot of work that came before it. You have to be able to draw on dozens of different artists' voices or styles to kind of figure out what is yours. You take pieces from everybody and that kind of creates your own style. It isn't just, you can't just go out and then you produce a new style. I don't know. And last thing that I will say is this. Monet's famous for a wide variety of subject matter. People, nature, haystacks, bridges, beaches, mountains, ponds, urban life. Studying Monet's work can help us learn to find beauty in the mundane. And that's important because I think it makes life better. I will also talk about more things in future videos regarding Monet, but I wanted to touch on a couple of ideas I'm working through right now to give you some idea of what's to come. Hopefully that sounds interesting to you. But okay, for now, that's everything that I've got. If you liked what you saw, I hope you'll hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and let me know what you think in the comments section down below. In the upcoming weeks, I'll be trickling out some more videos about Monet. I really want to piece together a playlist that does kind of a deep dive, a deep analysis into his work, but that's for a later date. For now, I want to thank you, my wonderful viewer, for giving some of your time to this channel. My friends and I really, really appreciate it. We hope you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we hope you'll let us know what you think in the comment section down below. And we also hope that you come back next time and that you have a good day. So thanks everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you